So we are ready to roll. Bob is with us and watching and listening, and he will enjoy the spiel. Is anyone willing, interested, curious to see how it is maybe going to show up or come through you? Would you like to do preferably a longer one, but even if you can do just a very short one? Tibor, I see you are on mute. Would you like to have a go before Sunday?
Actually, I was supposed to be muted. I'm actually driving at the moment, so I'm just really just
Oh,
listening.
all
So,
right. Okay, no
sorry,
worries.
I'll unmute. I just realized. But anyway, all good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so just a quick intro, just to be on the same page. Non-duality, czyli meaning not two, meaning it is pointing or is bringing up the idea of one without the other, meaning, one is already too much said because one already implies that there is something in which that one appears, or there is something that could be apart or outside or above that one. So they call it one without a second or one without the other. That meaning that one is all there is. And even to say that one is all there is already too much, because it really isn't. The whole conundrum is that it isn't a thing that we could grasp or objectify in any way. If it was, it would be more than one, obviously, because the objectification is other than one. So it is about the field of potentiality, which expresses itself in the myriads of ways. It expresses itself as every daydream, night dream, every appearance, every phenomena passing through. So viewed in this way, the dream or the appearance or the manifestation cannot be separated from the field of pure potentiality from which it arises and to which it subsides. Just like the images or reflections on the mirror cannot be separated from the mirror, that actually exhausts the metaphor of the oneness. So it neither exists nor it doesn't. It appears to be, but it is made of the emptiness, but not just made of zero or nihilism or nothing. It is the energy field which potentially may manifest as the totality, as everything, as the infinity, as the all patterns, shapes, and forms. So this is when we start from this perspective, and we actually acknowledged, because this is from anywhere you look, from any tradition, any religion, any scriptures. If this is what is sought for, that sense of oneness or the unity, then obviously, if that's the reality, then obviously you have to be part of it, or you have to be all of it already right now. You cannot be anything other than that one. If everything is that one, you have to be that one already. So now, two ways of looking at it in Bob's language. You are that oneness, you are that singularity, you are that energy field or intelligence, or you are being, just like everything else is being. You are being a body mind, perhaps in the appearance, and this is being a table, and this is being a computer, or this is being a telephone. Everything is being. It's just that this beingness is separated by the interpreting software in the brain, by so-called mind, which is just a functioning of labeling and interpreting. So in that being, in that field of being, the labels show up. This is being me, this is being not me. This is being a world, and this is being me in the world. This is being a friend, this is being enemy. But in the being, nothing is separated. It requires the language for the separation to exist. So if there is that oneness, and I am that oneness already, I am that field. And within that field that I am, labels arise because of the functioning mind. Labels of the body that is looking, the objects that it is looking at, then the way back to the oneness is to transcend or overlook the interpretation, take off the labels, relax in that prior to the mind, the non-conceptual, before the labels or concepts show up, there is the non-conceptual, and everyone knows that experientially, not only at the time of a birth of the physical body, but also at the time of returning back from the deep sleep before the concepts arise. Only in the moments of perhaps being mind blown by a beauty or a shock. Those are moments where there is no interpretation going on, and yet functioning happens naturally. Like when the thought is paused, when there is no thinking for whatever reason, be it because of the deep meditation, or be it because of the self-inquiry, when you actually follow the instruction and look if there is what is wrong with right now, if there is no thinking, or if there is a past without a thought, or if there is a future if I don't think about it, or if there is a body, if there is no concept or label of a body. And see what happens, because it can be pointed to, but the seeing, the looking has to happen individually in every so-called vehicle of expression, the body-mind. So if you look right now and see if there is anything missing or gone in the little gap between the thinking, you know, when the one thought disappears before the other thought arises, is there a break in seeing? Is there a break in existing? Because if there isn't, then obviously before the thought, between the thought, after the thought, with the thought, the existence is there regardless. So now, even just that little look, who am I if I don't think about it? Who am I without the thinking? Now you just look at the direct experience of existence and see how quickly mind comes and gives it a thought, gives it an idea, an image or construct, even the image of the shape of a body, or perhaps a remembering from the photography or from the mirror, or a face or a concept. See how quickly that self-identity builds up, shows up in that field of knowing prior to the thought. And now see when that identity or that thought is absent, just before it arises, before that interpretation or image arises. If you disappear, are you still there? There is an existence. There is being. In a deep sleep, when there is no interpretation going on, existence doesn't disappear. The body doesn't start rotting. So there is an existence, and that is prior to thinking. So this is really that oneness of existence before it has been artificially divided by labeling. And that is what you are, and that is what I am, the pure field of cognizing emptiness, or pure intelligent field with the capacity to vibrate into all the patterns, shapes, and forms. And those are, of course, labels. There's a lot of words I just used. But in the direct experience, when you just push aside that thinking capacity, interpreting capacity, labeling capacity, this field of knowing is what you're going to experience without a label. So how you even signify, or how you even look, if there is no words to it? There is still aliveness. You didn't die. There is still a functioning going on. The seeing still goes on. Hearing goes on. Thinking may be paused for a moment. But all the other part of the functioning is still happening. This is the natural state. And this is also an introduction to so-called non-dual awareness. That is not going to last very long, because the nature of that body-mind mechanism and the nature of the thinking is to arise and be at service. Label things for you very quickly, to interpret things for you very quickly, complain about things very quickly, protect the body from the danger, make sure that everybody likes you and you have everything that you can get. And if you don't, then you are motivated to go and get it. So this is what is that narrative mind for. So the fact that the narrative mind comes on board and very, very quickly kills that silence, it doesn't. The silence is not killed, but it's kind of covering up the silence. It doesn't change anything. The silence isn't affected by it. The silence is still there. The space-like awareness or that cognizing emptiness is not touched, just like the screen is not touched by the movie that you project on the screen. So that screen of awareness or that field of consciousness is the natural state. This is your essential nature. And very quickly that field is being interpreted to, no, but this is me, this is my body, I possess the body, I possess the field, I possess the capacity to be aware, I possess the aliveness. This is me, imagined self, who is alive. So it is actually, when you pause the thinking, direct experience will tell you that it's the other way around. The aliveness is there first. And then the thought comes, this is mine. But once the thought comes, this is mine, the belief goes, the energy of belief goes there straight away. And that me is believed into existence. And now the conundrum starts, because it's not the awareness having a me, but it's a me having an awareness. Which again, looking to find that me, you will see how it disappears without the thought. No thought, no me, no construct, no identity. Existence is still there. Sensations are still there. Sensations may be comfortable or uncomfortable. There may be a sensation that you would want to label contraction, but it's just a sensation. Without the label, it's just a vibration of energy. It's just a contraction. So the whole pointing is really to learn. Initially, it may be learning to trust the scriptures, because they are talking about oneness. Unless they were talking about it, there wouldn't be any even any incentive to look, unless there is experience that, again, remembered by the mind is already contrived. So it is really what they point at and what we point at, looking at direct experience, finding the natural state right here, right now, not after 100,000 hours of meditation, not when you read another 5 books or watch another 10 hours of videos, not when you have private audience with Bob or anyone else. But right now, that is the only time to recognize that aliveness is going on, with or without thinking. And if that is not obvious, pause the thought, prove it to yourself. And if that doesn't feel significant, if it doesn't feel like this is big enough or important enough, well, keep looking, because that's it. This is the base of the message. There is a presence of awareness. There is awareness of existence, awareness of presence going on right now. Without that awareness of presence, nothing is possible. Thought is not possible. Without that awareness of presence or the presence of aliveness, the body is dead. So the dead body cannot experience, the dead body cannot look for the liberation. The dead body is really just a rotten corpse. So it really is about giving credit where credit is due and bringing back that luminous radiance of aliveness to the foreground, because without that, there is nothing. And at any point, and mainly right now, that is all you can experience directly. It doesn't have to be learned, conditioned, or induced. It is going on right now. Aliveness is going on, and it is a big deal. It's not a small thing. Even when you watch Hollywood movies, they say life is the highest value. This is the most precious thing. But, you know, it gets dismissed because, hello, you know, but there is a conspiracy, or there is a conflict, or there is a desire. They couldn't be there if not for the aliveness. And again, hearing that through the mind, through that instrument that divides and labels and creates the illusion of separation and duality, which really isn't duality, it's just a name, but the multiplicity. The mind creates the illusion of multiplicity, of the 10,000 things. This instrument, if that one is used to understand what we are pointing, that's futile. That's not going to happen. Because the mind and the language, the mind, which is the narrative, which is the interpretation, which is the thinking capacity, analyzing, what Bob uses, comparison, partiality, all those wonderful capacities are basically the capacities to objectify the 10,000 things, to objectify the manifested world. And that is beyond objectification. The pure aliveness of that basic screen or sky-like awareness, that field of knowing, it cannot be objectified. It isn't an object. It is no thing. It doesn't even have an existence which you could put which you could box somewhere, no matter how big box, the box big like universe, or a box small like a dot. It cannot be circumferenced. It can't, you can't pinpoint it. You can't give it a volume. Is completely beyond the comprehension, it's completely beyond the grasp. Is the field of potentiality. It neither exists nor it doesn't. So thinking about it is futile. It just doesn't take you there. So the way and the reason that we point to it using the language is to call for a resonation, for some sense of remembering a forgotten song that I once knew, and it rings the bell. It's somehow, aha, you're right. Because everybody knows that underlying that overlay of narrative, there is that pure knowing of existence. It can't be denied. It can't be hidden. It can be overlooked. And that is what is happening because of the distractions, because of the entertainment, because so much is going on in conceptualizing capacity, in objectifying, in labeling, naming, describing relationships, so rich and juicy that that basic screen on which all those movies and dramas are projected is completely forgotten. And leaving from that mind perspective, it should be forgotten. It cannot not be forgotten. But there is another way of living life. And that is living more from the heart than from the mind. And this is the invitation. We are not talking about physical heart. We're talking about the core or the essence of looking more with that natural, not even instinctual, but it is more of well, instinctual is maybe as good word as any. Yeah.
Talking about that today. What is the meaning of instinct if not
Yeah.
very, very similar
Natural.
to the natural happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
And but you know, the instinct we call it's just a word of the
Yeah.
baby.
Yes.
For instance,
Yes.
it's just a natural happening. So I mean, they're just words, and somebody will come along and want to define instinct as
Yes.
separate from awareness for sure, no doubt about it.
Yes.
But it is very similar. It's subtle.
And
Sorry for interrupting,
No,
but
no,
it occurred to me
perfect.
today. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Amazing.
That
Yes.
instinct.
And baby, yes. How does the baby know? It isn't the knowing that we are considering when we are discussing higher mathematics. It isn't the conceptual knowing. It is the knowing that cannot be denied. Is the knowing from completely different place. And again, I love Bob's pointer, which shows it really what that non-conceptual awareness or non-conceptual knowing is when he asks anyone whether you are unaware right now. Are you unaware, or can you try to not exist, to not be, or to not know of existence? And no attempt will get you there. The awareness is effortless. It is regardless of trying, it's regardless of mental activity. That consciousness looking out of the eyes, that light in the eyes, that you distinguish, a live animal from a dead animal. You actually, I see there is the knowing nobody taught you. Beautiful, Jenny says. Yes, totally prior to any learning. And again, it's a word, knowing, but it isn't really the way, it isn't the same knowing. It's the heart knowing, like the heart is beating. That is known. Interpreting already puts it too far away. So that instinctual knowing, that gut knowing of existence, is prior to interpretation, prior to thinking, prior to the idea that this is I am alive, this is my life, this is my story, this is my body. So prior to that interpretation, that added overlay of constructed reality in which everything has a separate existence, prior to that dream, there is that awareness of presence. And now, if you notice that this awareness of presence, and through your heart, there is a subtle joy in that. There is love of being. There is love for being. There is amazement with existence. There is this subtle beauty of existence. In the heart, there is always a subtle, that aliveness is satisfying in a way, or one could say there is nothing wrong. There is no complaint in it. In that instinctual knowing, there is nothing wrong. I see there is another comment coming up. Yvonne says, we all are that 100%. Nobody got less than the full heritage. No division. Absolutely. It's totally. I love to actually bring it. Thank you, Yvonne. Back to realization that, we divide and conceptualize that, oh, Bob is clear, Bob is more clear than I am, or that one is more enlightened, that one is unenlightened. Those are all just divisions and concepts, because everyone is 100% aware of existence, is 100% that already expression of that one intelligence or one field of knowing, one life. So there is nothing that needs to be found or achieved. There is only realization of what is always now, forever, here, that has never been lost. That's also why they call it a cosmic joke, because, people are spending lifetime seeking, looking, trying to find, trying, work it out in the mind. They understood chakras, or they understood the meridians, or they understood meditations. But all of those concepts are just more forms created in that imaginary field or in the dream. While all that dream is playing out in that field that has never not been here. It's just been overlooked because the attention goes to the content, to the drama, to the dream. So, and it will always and forever, if we look through the mind, through the interpretation. But direct knowing of the heart is always here as well. Prioritizing, bringing the love of being in front of that distraction, set of distractions, the dreaming, is the way to discovering the way of discovering the living that is effortless, living that is natural, living that doesn't need any trying, doesn't need any effort. And of course, it doesn't mean that the body will never get sweaty or that will yeah, that But there is no need for ownership of that. This is me. I'm working so hard. The I that claims credit for sweating or working so hard, that cannot be found. That is just a division that mind interprets in the singular existence of that field of the energy. The body is functioning, the lungs are breathing, the heart is beating, the hair are growing. And then the mind comes and it says, this is my hair. This is my thought. I'm growing my beard, or I'm growing my, or I'm beating my heart. The nature of the mind is to objectify. So as soon as it objectifies, labels out of that field of knowing objects, it naturally assumes the subject. So it assumes that there is an I which is aware of objects, or which is in the relation with objects. Object may be inside the body, like pain, or object may be outside, or it may be inside out, is also just a label brought by the mind. It's also the mind that constructs the boundary that I'm within my skin, and outside my skin there is not I or not me. All those concepts are secondary. They wouldn't be experienced if not for that field of pure space-like awareness, conscious awareness, or awakeness, or wakefulness, that primordial wakefulness that is there. And even in a dream, when you sleep, that consciousness, when there is dream happening, is still present. It's just a different content of that field of knowing. Something else arises in that field. And again, Bob has this beautiful metaphor when he shows up, how to see it clearly when you analyze or you look at the capacity for seeing. The capacity for seeing is present. It is here right now. It has been here in the morning when you woke up. The content of seeing has changed, but the capacity for seeing is a capacity. It doesn't change. Seeing is always the same. The field of seeing, the process of seeing, the capacity of seeing, the fact that you open your eyes and it is already there. The content is changing. The content of thinking is changing. The content of dreaming is changing. But the function of seeing, of hearing, of dreaming, that function belongs to life. That is unchanging. That is already an expression, of course, because being at large, or the potentiality for being, through the human existence, it becomes seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. Through the bat existence, it may be a sonar sensing rather than seeing, and other senses. Every creature which life dreams for itself as a vehicle of expression or experiencing an expression has different capacities. So the capacity, the body is that pure potentiality creates that very dead material body, which is, if the life is removed from it, is rotting, is not even, it's not even functional. And in that connection of the pure spirit and pure matter, there is an illusion of an agency that is kind of happening in like a middleman. I'm not the spirit, I'm not the matter, I am me. That me is not physical, but it identifies as a body and it gets physicality of the body. It identifies as a mind and it creates itself an identity with the past, with the aspirations and ambitions and goals. But this can never be found. This is only because, like you have the, let's say you have the boiling water poured over an ice, and the steam comes out, so that steam, smoke and mirrors the very, very not even existent spirit or the pure consciousness and the very dead matter of a body. And then that steam, smoke and mirror, the separate identity happens in that seeming joining of those two opposites, which are only seeming opposites because everything is one. But you could, in a way, also see how in the manifestation everything is appearing as opposites. You know, the matter and the no matter, that's opposites, and the happiness and the non-happiness, that's opposites, pleasure and non-pleasure, opposite. We could define the pleasure or the opposites differently: pleasure, pain, joy, sadness, love, hate, or love, fear, whatever the definition. But it is just to signify that in the world of experience, the moment the division, the comparison, compartmentalization, and labeling, comparison happens, that is the content of the dream. But that content, again, is there only because of that space-like cognizing emptiness, the capacity for the cognizing, which is experienced through the body as the cognizing through seeing, cognizing through thinking, cognizing through sensing, any larger sensing. But it is still the cognizing, it's still the emptiness cognizing. Emptiness cognizes through the medium of the vehicle of the body. But the body is nothing else but that emptiness. Everything is nothing else but that emptiness, vibrating into the form. I see there is another comment here. And Jenny says, seeing and the other capacities happen without the I, me, mine, doing anything. The label of the species is human being, not human doing. Yeah, beautiful. Exactly. Just, yeah, beautiful. Just notice how all of those capacities, you can watch a cat and dog. They don't have the sense of credit-taking agency, which is only constructed with the symbolic language. They understand sign language by all means, but not a symbolic labeling language. So the constructing imagined self is inaccessible. And yet the seeing, by all means, the barking or meowing, by all means, all the capacities are there. So those capacities are being credited to the mind, are being taken credit for. This is me, this is I am seeing. This is me, this is I am thinking. I am choosing. I am dreaming or imagining. But then again, where is that I? Who is that I? Can that I be found? And without the thought, is there an I? Without the thought, is there an entity? Without the mental image, is there an individual or a self? That has to be directly checked and verified. You have to really see for yourself if there is a self. If you don't think about it. Because the appearance of the self is going to be there, absolutely. Like the appearance of the sky being blue or black at night, blue in the day, or it's going to happen. The reflection of the sky in the sea, and you're going to see a blue sea. You can see the rainbow, the reflection of the sunshine in the droplets of rain. All those appearances, they are going to be they're going to appear. So the sense of being an individual, or the sense of having an identity, or being an owner of the body, or being a thinker of a thought, it may still appear. But if you know that this is another rainbow, if there is a knowing that this is just a mechanical functioning of the biocomputer, then the attachment to it, the need to defend it, the need to stand and die for your beliefs, that one relaxes. And without that, life flows effortlessly, because there is an understanding that with or without believing the narrative, functioning will go on. So if there is a need to pay the bills, the thought will arise and the bills will be paid, or they won't be paid and the eviction will happen. And either way, from the perspective of life, any dream is a dream, is a miracle, is a way of experiencing and expressing in a myriad of ways. And seeing that the mind, again, the narrative or the biocomputer, the software, the program, which is responsible for the survival and for the thriving of the body, and it keeps chasing pleasures and keep avoiding pain and keep scolding you maybe that you're not good enough, you're not meditating hard enough, you're not staying on the razor's edge, you're not doing it right, you're not trying. This is just a mechanical function. It does not need to be listened to. It does not need to be taken seriously. If you see that this is like your commentary on the sport event, or you see that this is your, you know, there are functions in the computer which will read the audiobook for you, the voice generator that interprets what's happening. You know, the urge is in the body and the interpreter straight away narrates it. But there is nothing more than that. It's just a functioning. So now how important is that? The narrative says, oh, I'm going to be late to work. And that narrative is saying, oh, if I'm not going to think that thought, then I'm not going to rush. Well, that you don't know. Or if the thought still arises, but the thought is not being attended to, functioning still happens as it should. Functioning happens according to the conditioning of the body. If the body is conditioned to be late, whether the thought arises or thought doesn't arise, that conditioning will probably exercise the action which will show up that outcome. Believing the thought is a slavery to the computer. This is literally almost like sleepwalking, being unconscious, because the thinking is mechanical. It's the mechanical narration of automatic functioning. Being free from believing the mind, from believing the thinking, being life at large, which doesn't have boundaries, self-definitions, which is just free to be and experience and marvel at every moment, being fresh and new, and marvel at the way the body is responding without any need for the entity to every moment, according to its conditioning. But this is the conscious living. You are conscious of automatic processes. You are conscious of the body holding a conversation, but you're not holding the conversation. The body is speaking. Right now, this is some blah, blah, blah coming out of this body, but there is no me doing any of it. There is just life experiencing and expressing itself through speaking. And there is clear awareness of that being the case, of that happening. In that field of knowing, this body is speaking, and it doesn't know what it is going to say next minute. So why would it be bothered thinking or attending to speculations or distractions? That's the way of living that is smooth and effortless, trusting completely the flow of life, that the heart will know that it has another beat to make, that the lungs will know that there is another expansion and contraction to make, and the thinking will know that there is another thought to be narrated or attended or ignored. So this is the life of discovery. This is the life of being curious about every moment, which is never, ever repeated, is always fresh and new. And this is also a life of trust, that whatever needs to be attended to will be attended to, without any sense of me being in charge, me controlling, me feeling anxious that, oh my God, I can't afford losing control. Control has never, ever been there. Newborn baby doesn't have any control. Where is the attention gonna go? Attention go to sound, attention go to the color, and that attention is being trained without any control. The illusion of control comes along as the baby is learning language and imitating those adults who already believe in having that control. But that's only an illusion. So there's nothing to be lost. The delusion of illusion of control is the only thing that is to be lost, but that's not a costly sacrifice. That's the welcoming of a freedom, of living without an effort, living in a state of curiosity or amazement. Sometimes there is even amazement of the tragedies and dramas that are being endured. But there is no concept that things should be any different, because if the concept like that did show up, there is no one to attend to it. So the thought comes and goes, and just like a bird on the sky, and that's it. Whilst living in the slavery of believing to the narrative mind, a lot of attention get trapped in thinking. And part of that thinking is the construct called I or me. And now, if that thinking, that construct is being fed with the energy of belief, it feels so real. And that hurts. That's limiting. Even if you have healthy self-esteem and a good, positive self-image, is still limiting. Because what you are is infinite and limitless. It's not limited to the body. It's not going to die with the body. Me is going to die. The construct, absolutely. The moment these electrical impulses in the brain stop generating that imagined self is gone. Imagined self can be gone right now. And that's the invitation. Live without the center. Live as that one flow of life, rather than the imagined self running the show. Just give up the illusion of control. Not that there is anyone to do that, but resonation and recognition might bring up that tune, that long forgotten song that, oh yeah, of course, I'm not controlling the growth of my hair. I didn't even control the thought of having them colored in red. There's no story. It's just whatever's happening. It's just so much easier. I'm waiting for some hands to come up. Oh, please.
I just thought that was so beautiful. But it was so powerful. It was really so many. It's just all of it was gold. But the thing about, we do forget. I mean, there's a sense that, of course, you can't remember because it's preconceptual. But as an infant, preconceptual, we know it's a game. And then it's become, but it's so convincing. The mama, the daddy, everybody's clearly believing in the self-independent, and they're teaching you that, and so you buy into the game, and then it becomes real, and then dissatisfaction.
That's right.
Arises. That's the byproduct, isn't it? It's tragically sad, but hilarious at the same time. It just doesn't matter really, because it's untouched.
Yes.
The essence is untouched, and it doesn't matter what happens, because it's all, a play. And it reminded me too of Yvonne when she gave her spiel on Tuesday. She talked about that a story of the guy falling asleep in the boat.
Yes.
And he was having a lovely daydream or something, and then another boat came and bumped into him, and he was really pissed off. But then the boat, so to recount your story, Yvonne, was just so good. And then the boat, he looked and saw it was empty. Oh, what have you got to be pissed off at if the boat's empty? But the reality is actually both boats are empty. There's nobody in either boat.
That's it. That's it. Realize that you are a boat and you are empty. And if there is anything pushing the buttons of the body, that's also empty. That's a beautiful.
And it's too. You also covered on the underlying sameness.
Yes.
The quality is sameness, and there is a natural, it seems, a hierarchical thing, and we like to worship. Well, it happens a lot, the messenger, right? And it is all part of the story, but it's another reminder not to. Well, don't want to say not to, but there's no real benefit in worshipping anything. Be it an object or seeming an idol or something that appears to be living, breathing, or speaking, because it's all that same oneness. The same sense of oneness here is the same there, and in Bob and everything else. And it's just self-talking to self in a way, okay? So that's all of this now, you, me, apparently everybody watching, it's all self to self.
Yes. Beautiful. Bob often starts the spiel with, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not talking to any mind. I'm talking to the I am, that I am, the same I am, shared in a 10,000 things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Don't forget that.
yes, that's the thing not to forget. Your spiel was so mesmerizing,
was.
Jenny. Thank you. And agree on that, says Yvonne. This was total resonance with that. And Nick says, this is one Zoom you should consider uploading. And there are a couple of Yvonne and Jenny. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good one, says Primali. And awakeness is there already, says Yvonne. Absolutely. And there is another one here. Colin says, wake up and come to your senses, pure seeing, pure hearing, pure being. And Jenny gives it a heart. Yes. And Jenny says they don't need the addendum cat being, dog being, etc., because they don't need the reminder. Absolutely. I assume, yeah, when we were talking about the animals and needing, totally. Yes. And Jenny also says seeing and the other capacities happen without the I, me, mine, doing anything. The label of the species, the human being, not human doing. Yes, I think I've read that one. Yeah, beautiful. Mm.
Awakeness is there.
Sorry, I cannot find the hand up at my
That's okay.
iPhone.
Yeah,
And I want to say something.
please.
Yeah, it was a great sharing that was really pointed to that I am. It was great. And then when you see that's what always is, and then when you see the me is the thought. The me is only the thought that say me, me, me. I see the tree. They're stealing the show because the show is not speaking from, oh, there is a tree. I know what a tree is, and this is that. And there is one view, one openness, where everything arising for free. And when you do not catch one single thought, because then it's already and the thoughts are so quickly like the wind. And when you see that the me is always only a thought, and that is the big lie. It steals the show. And everything here is a lot of rain. I don't know if you can hear it, but I sitting in the caravan in the woods. But yeah, it is such a relief when you see the thoughts is only blah 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 blah. But when you need to bus, yes, you can say, oh, I need to bus card, I need to go a walk. That is practical. But for the rest, is it one beautiful show, living itself and do what it does. And yeah, that's a great one. That's the beauty. Thank you for your sharing. It was very, 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 yeah, love that speaks to love. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I've seen for a moment Nick had a hand up, but I can't see it. I can't see it anymore. And Jenny says, "Beautiful, Isabel. The me stealing the show. The me stealing the show. And love speaking to love. I love that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the hand up for a second. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Basically, this is one of the Zooms that I said before. I put in the comments that it's worth to be uploaded because it was wonderful the way everything was flowing. And the other thing I wanted to share is that if you find yourself asking for hands and you don't see anybody raising it, take that as a compliment because actually it implies that the message got through. And I feel that that's what it is, moment. to this. Once it's clear the foundation, what else there is to say, you know, because it just landed, and then it's just only a matter of just being and bask in that beingness. Once the recognition that the only problem is just a thought believed in, you know. So I just wanted to share that. That's all.
Oh, that's beautiful, Nick. Thank you. And I see there is a couple of comments here, and
Your hand.
yes, Jens says that's right. No hands, huge compliment. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and I agree on that. Nick says Yvonne, and exactly, Nick says Marlies. Oh, that's so nice. See, and another yeah, I take it. Thank you. I mean, of course, I'm not taking
Yeah, that's
credit.
what I wanted to say. I wanted to remind you, because that's also, Kat, why I use the word mesmerizing, because you have shared that even the pattern of Bob also enjoys when he can see that something has landed and that the resonance is there, and that, you know, I mean, that's also natural for us being human.
Mm.
And I think that's such a beautiful that you lifted this so clearly, Nick, because it's so important, I feel, that we, even with the awareness of that there is no I running the show, I mean, taking a compliment can just be bowing to life in gratitude for letting the flow in that way. So it's, again, there, I think you can take a compliment with pampering the ego, or as gratitude for life, you know, for the flow of life. So I also wanted to kind of rub that in a bit on you, because it was really mesmerizing in so many ways.
Yeah.
It is an opportunity for rejoicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, you know, I'm not taking credit. I'm taking the compliment. Thank you. Idea is beautiful. It's very enjoyable. Credit still to life because there's no one else. But it also another aspect of it is, you know, the way Bob designed that. I mean, he hasn't done it, of course. It's just lifing. But the way the meetings are structured, of course, the intention is to just completely cut undermine, just really show that illusion to be an illusion, and put the mind to rest. But at the same time, we gotta invite it back again to bring the doubts, so we can kill them again, so we can just really shed that light on it again. So I'm totally taking a compliment that doubts didn't show up. And if they are in it, we are totally inviting, because I heard a couple of times it happened also that people didn't want to chat, and Bob said, okay, fine, we wrap it. We sit in silence, everybody on themselves, and this is the time to exchange the description. Anyway, I see Nick has the hand up. Would you like to unmute?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because the doubts, if there are any, they will rise up. We don't have to invite anybody to bring them up. You know, it's sometimes, I'm just saying this, sometimes it could be the mind itself kind of trying to trick into, if anybody has anything, we want to say something, come on, we have something to say, any doubts or something. No, the doubts will come up immediately. You just be in the silence, and then if the doubt comes, believe me that consciousness will express through the instrument for the doubt to come in. You know, it's interesting, because in the end, like I said, the message points to silence. It doesn't point to more what's it called, discussion, you know. But if there's a need for the discussion, it'll arise very organically, you know, in the same way that organically consciousness made this appearance to take place. Otherwise, you know, why even be, you know? So it just, I at least for me, I can only speak for myself, of course, you know, within the limitation of the language. I do in Spanish on Sundays, I do a gathering like that. There's like 3 of us only, you know, so it's no big deal. I don't, whatever. But I do notice in myself, you know, how when there's silence and there's nothing to say, I do notice how there's like a sense in me of, oof, this is feel weird, you know. Instead of being relaxed, just beingness, you know, I can see how sometimes it feels like, what should I don't know, I should say, and there's a compelling of wanting to be talking, you know, just to fill in the space when in reality, maybe there's nothing to say, you know, basically just being. So I just kind of notice how I'm feeling, because in the end, whatever is that I am feeling, which is not right or wrong, but it sort of like corroborates or reinforces the belief in a separation, you know, because when I'm by myself, when there's nobody around me, I'm feeling okay. So what's the difference if I am by myself with nobody around me and I am here in front of X amount of people, you know? What difference does it make? The quietness is the same. The tranquility is the same, unless I believe that in this particular scenario, there are people out there who are expecting to hear something from me. But you see, that's a trap, you know? So yeah, good exercise would be, what would happen, like Bob says, like you said, you know, okay, well, we don't say anything, we stay in silence. Okay, let's put it to the test. Let's see what happens, you know? Especially for the host. For the listeners, it's easy, but for the host, let's see what happens if you give a spiel that is like brilliant, like you did right now. It's not about taking credit, but you were the instrument that it was used. So let's just forget about taking credit or not taking credit, because even the ego thought system just gets in there trying to be humble. No, just let's call it as it is. You're the instrument that it was used for the information to come through. In the end, the instrument could have been you, could have been Bob, could have been Jenny, could have been Nick, could have been anybody here, but it just so happened this way. And, you know, we see ourselves saying, thank you for that. It's no big deal. Just take it as long as there's not, as long as I don't feel anything about it, just words, you know, hey Kat, you know, thank you for the spiel, thank you, you're so wonderful, you gave us great, just words. What the difference, you know? So if I say the opposite, I mean, as long as there's not a reaction, that's what matters, that's what's important, you know, that's just the way it is. So it'll be interesting to see if you give one of those beautiful spiels, and let's say in 15 minutes there's nothing else to say, and you say, okay, well, this is all there is. If there's any questions, you know, I'm available. And then just remain in that silence for the whole hour and a half, you know, see what happens. And I'll guarantee you that if a question needs to arise, it will arise. It will arise. Why? Because, you know, if there's a doubt in there, there's a fear in there. Well, this is the perfect opportunity to bring that up, you know, so that it can be clarified. So I don't know. I think that I don't know. This is what this instrument shared. So consciousness wanted to say this through me. So it's not my fault. I'm blaming consciousness. So
Good.
Well, that's
Yeah.
it.
Who knows? Maybe it will happen this way. Maybe it will happen. Who knows? Or maybe it won't. I can only tell you that there is a joy and delight in expressing, and that's why the invitation is for other people to also express what is clear and share that clarity. And there is also it is a piece of art to actually put in words that which is beyond language. So there is a joy, like, you know, you have those schools of there was a couple of gurus that I thought of, you know, like Aurobindo. He was training the expression of poets, or another one that was this Sri Chimnoy, training the expression of music. And we are not training anything here, but I've seen a couple of meetings where Bob was actually inviting people to speak. Nobody wanted to speak. Okay, no worries. We can sit in silence, but we're going to stop the recording. We're going to stop the Zoom, and we can sit in silence all day, night, week, whatever. That's fantastic. But who knows? Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. For now, we have Nick, and then we have Jenny. So Nick was...
So we are
yeah?
training the instrument.
Tuning.
Yeah.
Tuning the instrument is what you're saying. I like that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And Bob encourages that so much.
Like a
doesn't he?
cover tone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. It's great. Sorry.
I think it's just nice. And Jenny.
Yeah, I'm jumping out of my seat because I'm so amazed by how life moves. Because what I wanted to share in even before you started to share, Nick, was when we were talking about talking in these calls. And I just remembered how so many times that I have heard Bob ask us to share because somebody might hear something that I say in a different with that little coin might drop down in the slot machine, whereas maybe another coin didn't make the coin drop. And it's the same thing, actually, as I perceive if you are sharing a point or I am sharing a point, and Kat brings it back to another perspective, to the life perspective, or to the perspective from the from the perceived world we are living in, then that's also it's not a dialogue in that sense, but it is again bringing the other perspective to the whole group. And I think that the trap that it's so easy to fall in while we are inhabiting this human construct is to taking everything so very personal. So that if I have said some things, that the next comment that comes back in the flow, I say, oh, that must be directed to me because I was just the speaker, I just spoke. But in essence, it's put out into the field, you know? And I've seen that so many times in my line. I worked with teenagers my whole life. And teenagers are such pure beings because they are so hormone run that, I mean, shit just happens, you know, they don't think. Shit just happens. Life's just lifing, you know. And you can so see all these patterns that we play out also when we're in our grown-up so-called bodies. It becomes so obvious. And there are so many, I feel, misunderstandings in this world that could be erased if we would just see the messages that come out as messages without any direction, you know, just like, because when it does, and then it's not an arrow, you know, then it's not an arrow, then it's just a, okay. And then it's so much easier in a sense. So I've heard Bob say so many times that please just bring your point of view. Somebody else might hear this in a different light and so forth. So that was just what I wanted to share, because I agree with you, Nick, that silence is very profound. Silence is extremely profound, and there's actually nothing that I like more than sitting in silence with people where you're in resonance. You know, oftentimes sitting in silence, if there's dissonance, can be really harsh on the system, at least for my system. I perceive it as harsh. But when there is resonance in silence, then it's almost like one can sense what we cannot express with words. Anyhow, I'm enough from this.
No, that's perfect. And Nick, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I'm doing this on purpose to just make sure that you haven't. So we're running the time here, so you don't have to. I'm bailing you out. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, we're doing this for you. Jenny and I were doing this on purpose just for you, to help you out, so you don't have to say anything at the end, you know. So
Beautiful.
no, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. No, I appreciate what you've shared. I think that one of the things I've learned, I'm conscious of it, is that if I ever make a comment that is personal, to always bring it back to the recognition of non-duality, to know that maybe that was an example that I was sharing because, you know, maybe within the context might have helped, you know, but in the end, bringing it back to so we know that we're going back to the same page. Aside from that, thank you, Jenny. Of course, I mean, I love your sharing and and everybody's sharing for that matter, you know. So anyway, thank you for, well, I'm just grateful. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we have a comment from Marty. Can you divide being without a thought? Yeah, good point. The whole existence is happening now. I am that, and just a full stop. Beautiful. That's that. Yeah, so Bob is watching with us. Anyone? Anything comes up? Description question. It is a beautiful assumption that everyone is on the same page and everyone already has a clarity and there is nothing that could possibly confuse anyone. But we don't know. We never know. That's why, Nick, what you say is a great idea. You know, if you share an example, and specific situations are the wonderful proof in a pudding type of a situations. So bringing them back after sharing it from personal perspective, bringing them back to non-dual is a fantastic idea. I won't do it for you. I'd rather have you do it yourself because I know you know, and that's kind of more gentle. And what Jenny says, this pattern of taking things personally is also a survival mechanism, and it is unavoidable. I can tell you, when I walk with Bob in a crowded place and somebody shouts Bob, he will, you know, he will turn the head. That's an automatic function. So yes, what Jenny was saying, you know, if there is a comment made after she spoke, naturally the whole system is in a state of alertness. Oh, because the mind is navigating the situation that, okay, this is about me, this is for me. It has to, otherwise its chances for survival and for thriving drop badly down. But Primali has the hand up. Hi, Primali, would you like to unmute?
Yes, Kat. So I just want to tell a story. Recently, my friend is saying he was in the amusement park. I don't know where it was, about Harry Potter, I think in England. And she was saying she was very scared to start with, and it's moving and everything. But then she thought, okay, no, this is just my mind making me scared, and this is just a story. I am not going to be scared of it. And then she said all the fear went away, and she enjoyed the show 100% without any fear, and everybody around her was shouting, screaming, but she was just laughing and enjoying the show. And I thought, if we can do that, that would be great. Isn't it, like this life story?
Yeah, beautiful. So
Yeah.
yes, such a different way of taking in every moment is completely possible, accessible, if you don't believe, if there is no belief in the interpretation, in the thinking, if there is just that open field of curiosity, whatever arises, just, oh wow.
Yeah, there's still I mean, I don't believe it, like, but still I get caught up with it most of the time.
Yeah, of course. And so what? I mean, you know, from life's perspective, if life wants to experience and expresses itself as the engagement with the drama, who are you to stop it? You can just relax and enjoy the life being caught up.
Yeah, the engagement with the drama, Cat, because I think what stopped me is not engaging, is that I think it is unfair to not to engage. I think that is my problem. I think if somebody is sad, if I don't feel that sadness, then it's not right. I think I need to do something about it.
So you
don't know.
think You
Yeah, I
think,
know it's so
yeah,
hard to get out of it. Yeah, that's
See, what happens, the thought arises that I have to be sad. I should be sad because the situation calls for it and it would be wrong or it would be
yeah,
unfair. So
very
that
stupid,
thought
isn't it?
arises and there is a belief in it. And the
Yeah,
moment there is a belief in it, there is acting as if that was the truth. But
yes.
is it the truth? Is it
No,
really?
yeah, like whatever, as you said, living with from the heart, it will take care of it, isn't it? When somebody is sad, the living from the heart will take care of it rather than involving in the head.
And then you don't have to pretend the sadness.
Yes,
You may find yourself crying with someone who is in turmoil, and you may be in a sense of elation and joy for your vulnerability and sensitivity and loving, caring nature while you're crying.
yeah, I
No
know.
need to pretend sadness because
Yeah,
it's socially appropriate.
yeah, yeah,
But see how it comes about. I'm thinking that it is unfair. No, you're not thinking. You are the field of
I
awareness, and the thought arises, and the
yeah,
energy of belief goes into this thought, and now it feels real. And
yeah,
because it feels real, of course, the action follows it. And,
yeah,
just like writing a letter to Santa Claus because Santa Claus is real.
yeah. The thing is, other thing I want to ask is like if sadness or anger comes, right, without thinking even, or with I don't know. So the body like the happiness, isn't it? Body or like if it comes from heart, the sadness comes from heart, uh it does it feel different to when sadness comes from the mind?
See, the idea that body likes something and dislikes something else, body doesn't really have the capacity to
Yeah,
evaluate.
yeah,
It always comes from the mind. Evaluation, I like this, I don't like this, I want more this and less this.
yeah,
That's just thinking. Without the thought, everything is just as it is. It's neither painful nor pleasant. It's neither desirable nor undesirable. It is just as it is. Sadness
yeah,
arises, and that's what it is. When the
yeah,
when the thinking takes a grapple on it and it says, "Oh, this is because of that or that or that," that's
yeah,
just an overlay.
but Kat, like when during your talk, I was like in bliss. Then I mean something else happened. Then I get sad or angry or whatever. But the thing is, I think the thoughts are also natural. So it's life as well. So the thought comes and tell, okay, I don't like sadness, or thought come and say, I don't know, do something else or something, or bring the non-duality or something. So I think that's okay as well. That's life, isn't it?
Of
Like,
course, everything's okay. It's just that there is a possibility to experience the total okayness with every thought that arises without believing it. If the thought arises, oh, Santa
yeah.
Claus lives on the North Pole, will you believe it? No, you wouldn't because you
Oh, yeah.
questioned. Or the thought arises, the earth is flat and I can't travel because I'm going to fall from the edge. You won't believe it because you've questioned. And now if the thought arises that I have to be sad because that's what appropriate, you believe it. Okay. Now, would you like to say something to that, Primali? Or
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, yeah. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care about the stories anymore, but just.
Yeah, you see, thoughts are absolutely natural and you can't stop them from coming. But questioning thoughts and believing thoughts, if the thought arises and you don't, if there is no unconditional, unquestioned acceptance of something without looking, without, investigating it, then, thought is not a problem. It's an expression of life. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, there's no belief in thoughts anymore. I mean,
Mm.
But thoughts comes and stories form,
Mhm.
and I don't care much now. It happened, and sometimes I'm in the story. I mean, no me, but story happened, and the me is created, and all of that happen. Yeah, it's just a story, isn't it?
Yes, just a story.
Thanks, Kat.
Thank you. And Nick, would you like to unmute?
Yeah, what was coming through when I hear sometimes, believing the thought or not believing the thought, what comes to mind is that who is that thought happening to? It's like the when I get to the root of it, the root goes to, it's kind of like a disappearing. It's really interesting because it's a disappearance. When there's no, when I mean there's no me, I'm not talking about me thinking there's no me, but when there is what is, and thoughts appear, believing the thought or not depends on a me. You see, it depends on an entity. But if the entity is not there, then the thought is just a thought. It is what it is. It passes and it doesn't pass. So what I notice is that when I'm believing the thought, is because I have already believed the thought that says I am this person who's thinking, or the thought is happening too. But then when the recognition is that in every moment I am, the I am, and as that becomes subtle, very subtle, thoughts will continue to appear because it just happens. But now believing the thought implies, oh, okay, I'm believing that I am this individual, that I'm this person. And consequently, as a result of that, now I'm believing that thought, because a lot of times, if I overlook that, I may find myself also getting caught in the language wise, for example, am I being in the heart, or am I being in the mind? You see? But because I haven't questioned actually who is that who can be in the heart or can be in the mind, you see? So in the end, when that is addressed, when that is seen, not by anyone, but it's just a way of speaking, then a thought is a thought, a sensation is a sensation, an experience is an experience, but it's really happening to no one because I am. And that's in the end, that's where I always try to bring it to remind myself of that. So I know that the moment I wake up in the morning, I am, and life happens and thoughts happens. And if I find myself believing a particular thought or engaging in a particular thought or reacting to something, it's not because I'm believing the thought necessarily, it's because I have overlooked the I that I think I am. And as I overlook that, then I find myself either believing the thought or not believing the thought. So I think that in the end, it comes down to, again, this is what I said, it's a disappearance. It's a form of disappearance. I am still having the experience that seems to be as if though I'm here in this world having the experience, but not being seen because I don't need to be seen. And yet engagement happens. It seems as if I'm engaging, as if I'm talking, as if I'm functioning, but in a space where it simply is. I think this is where words actually, they're limiting. Of course, they cannot take you, they cannot go any further. But I think that in the end, is always keeping an eye when I find myself saying, I'm thinking this, I believe that, or I'm thinking that. Let's go a little bit, let's go beyond that. Let's see who is that I who's saying I'm thinking, I'm believing, or so, because that is the one that has to be questioned. Once that is seen, then everything is what is, it's happening to no one. It's just happening. Life is happening. Life is, this is it. Thoughts happens, sensations happens. You can call him crying, or you can call him anger, or you can call him pleasure. It doesn't matter. Just basic different textures of the same of the same energy field, which is what I am in essence, as opposed to a quote unquote individual. So anyway, that's that's what came through.
Yes, thank you. And Primali, did you want to say something? I see you're on mute.
Sorry, Kat, I forgot to unmute it. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, of course. You see, there is so many ways of actually describing that happening. And great point, Nick. You're right. That see, it can get trapped in the language. That's why it's lovely when 2-3 people actually reiterate the same thing. Very easy to get caught with the idea, okay, am I in my mind or am I in my heart? And for quite a few years, I had a friend with who we constantly had that discussion. She says, oh no, but this thought is from the heart. I tell you, really. And I say, no, heart doesn't have words. If the thought comes in words, it is from the mind. That's end of story. But it is really the deeper question, or the more kind of underlying question is, who is there to even be or think or look from the mind or from the heart? Thank you for that. This is always a great reminder. And we have a comment here. Marley says, thank you for a beautiful spiel card and another great meeting and sharing. And thank you, Marley. And Andrew says, is there a different levels of awareness, knowingness of the I amness? Is it possible to stay in this state all the time? And where will you go, says Yvonne. Yes, that's a great question, because the questions of the levels is again a question of definitions. Rather than defining levels of consciousness, you may want to define the level of distractions. So when you are undistracted completely, just 5 senses wide open, attention going to the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, not much of a distraction of the drama, that's kind of as good as it gets. It's a natural state. And then the layers upon layers of distraction can come and seemingly obscure it, but only seemingly, because that presence of awareness is never completely gone. That aliveness is always there. But it is a good question. Is it possible to stay in that state all the time? Well, you are that. It's not even a state. It's not even a state that you enter. You are that field of knowing. You are the whole space. You are that whole open consciousness that doesn't have any limits or any boundaries. And in that consciousness, the idea of the limits, idea of the body arises, idea of the mind arises, then idea of my mind arises, or my struggles, or my battles. And that field gets more and more narrowed and covered and limited. But it is only in a dream, because you fall asleep and you have another dream, or you fantasize about your next vacations, and this is a different dream. None of those dreams, none of those movies are ever going to touch that screen, that field, the luminous field that you are. So it is really a realization that no matter what happens on the screen, you are that field, you are that awareness, that presence. And that realization may be there, or maybe absence of the abstraction, may be there interchangeably with the abstractions. Or it may be for longer periods without and the shorter periods with. But either way, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter. The preference for having less thoughts and more of a blissful experience is another distraction. This is the dream that, oh, I want to achieve a state when there is less of the mind. It's a valid dream, but it's dream nevertheless. Realize, yeah, go on.
You can't not be it.
Yes.
You cannot escape it.
No, yeah.
You can never get away from it. It's always been there. It will always be there. It's that.
Yeah.
Always. It's what Bob says, are you not aware right now?
Yeah.
It's,
Are you not present?
are you not present
Are you not
right
being?
now?
Yeah. But it is an absolutely valid question, Andrew, because of course the questions are all coming from the mind. Heart doesn't have words, so it doesn't have questions. And mind, its job is to always provide the best possible future. So is it possible to be in the state of constant bliss with no thoughts in the future? And we don't deal with future, we deal with right here, right now. But the question is valid. That's what mind does. That's what it is for. And now recognition is that this question is just another vibration of the mind. Whether the question asks, can I stay in that blissful state with no thoughts? Or if the mind says, can I win $1 million in a lottery? It is the same question. It is just the vibration of the mind appearing to obscure that space of presence. Answering those questions, and we do answer those questions because it's fun. This is just an expression of life. It's fun. But mainly we debunk the questions. Mainly, as Nick was just bringing up, who cares? Who wants to know? Who is so preoccupied with getting, and that's absolutely not personal, totally not personal. Everyone has those questions because one mind is every mind, and its job is to bring those questions. Its job is to provide safety and pleasure. So this is, yeah, thank you for the question. And again, we're going to be answering questions, but the even more important and powerful than answering a question is seeing where is the question coming from and what that question really is in the field of consciousness is just a ripple. The content of the question feels so important and so good, but it's a ripple. Every question is the same, is a ripple. And Jenny says, I know that we are running overtime. I may share something quickly. And Andrew says, thank you. Yes, Jenny, come share something quickly. I didn't even notice we ran overtime. Thank you.
No, it's of the private nature, but I just wanted to share about how answers can come when we don't even ask the question. And one came to me today, and I'm quite actually overwhelmed by it. And you answered something, Kat, because 12 years ago, I started to write a book. I had this feeling I wanted to share some of my life experiences, what had happened and how I had interpreted it. I came quite a long way in it. And then suddenly I just stopped because I felt it was such an ego thing to do, that who's caring, who wants to know, and what is this about? And I just put it aside, and it's been laying aside for the past 10 years now. I haven't looked at it for the past 10 years. And now when you shared about the book you were writing, I just realized that what I had attempted to do, but didn't have a name on what I was attempting to do, was to share about how I had interpreted all the things that had happened to me and how that had shaped my life. But I wanted to show the gold that had come out of it. And now when you shared, it was like it ignited a spark again, It just something got ignited, and who knows, I might take up the project again if life compels me to. But I just wanted to share that. It was like from nowhere, it just, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. And I hope that book will come to life because sharing that is just oh my God, I can't tell you how wonderful it is to even to share Bob, sharing life, because there's no ego. Ego is fiction, it's life. I hope it will also show up once it's ready in the language that we can read it, because I want to read it.
I'm actually writing it in English.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
and in regards to answers that show up for the questions and requests from life that you didn't even formulate fully, oh my gosh, what a miracles life brings, you wouldn't believe. That's one of it. Tanya is a miracle. I'm pointing at you. And needless to say, what a miracle Bob is.
Yeah. And just all of us just being here right now,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you know, just with all the similarities and all these, like snowflakes. I mean, it's winter here, so
Yep.
we're all just these beautiful snowflakes, none like the other. And we're here until we melt.
Yeah.
Until we
You
met,
know.
I love it. I love it. Reflecting the same life, made of the same water, H2O.
Yeah,
Snowflakes,
yeah,
water, steam, and
yeah,
ice.
yeah.
Mm.
And I wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas, because I don't know on Tuesday if I will be on the call, if there is a call on Tuesday. And yeah, because the house will be full, and maybe I can sneak away, but I just wanted to wish you all a really happy holidays, and thank you for
Mm.
being out there in space
And
so
thank
that we
you.
can hug even when not in person.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. And
it's lovely having Jenny on Sundays too, when she should be sleeping.
oh, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Seeing you awake in the middle of a night. So nice.
I know. I have to. I am a night active person. I should grow up soon
No,
and go to bed.
Write that
Oh.
book.
Yeah.
And we're gonna wrap up with much over time. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the
Thank you.
contributions and everything.
Thank you. Have
Lots of
nice
love.
days.
Bye-bye.
Lots of love.
Thank you.